Hi everyone. So, I'm going to start this series off by answering a question which some of you have asked me multiple times. How do you mount a light like this on a ceiling fan motor? So watch this video till the end and you'll learn how. So not all budget ceiling fans like this are built the same from each brand, but most of them are built with similar construction. So from what I've learned from building this ceiling fan motor here and from talking to my friend Teltra68, shout out to him, he's a great guy by the way. Mounting a light like this to a ceiling fan motor isn't actually that hard. So here's how you do it. First, you gotta open the motor, so separate these two shells here. First, you gotta take note of the wiring. Take a picture or draw the diagram and take the motor apart. So get a screwdriver that you can get a big leverage on the screws. I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver. So with all the screws holding the two shells together removed, now you need to remove the wiring. So unscrew the screws from this terminal block here, remove the wires. This wire here is held on with a wire nut, so let me get a pair of pliers. Okay, good. Separate these two wires here. Let's make sure the capacitor is dead. It is, okay. So you remove this bendy clip thing here. I don't know what it is called, but you take that off. You take this off. This is cable to hold the motor to the down rod. And you remove this bolt. Now from here, each of you steps to remove the top and bottom shells to pull them apart is different, but how I like to do it is to insert long bolts to the threads that hold the blade in place, so these screw holes. Again, each ceiling fan is built differently, so you might have to use a different method to pull these two shells apart. Take a wrench and go to town. I think it's off. Yeah, it is. Okay. Pull this up carefully. You don't want to damage the windings. Oh. I know I've said this multiple times before, but seriously guys, can they just not put this little grease in here? It's cheap, very cheap grease. It's very loose, very clear. Sometimes I have to wonder how much money they actually saved by not putting high quality grease in here. Okay, my syringe is getting stuck. Okay, with that out of the way, let's remove the stator here out of the lower motor shell. How you do it is you take a small screwdriver. Let's zoom out here. Take the top of grease away. You insert it through this hole here. You poke it through. Hold it like this. Take another screwdriver and hammer it here while rotating the lower motor shell. Okay, that's quite violent. Anyway, you got a motor out. Let's check if I damaged anything. Might have to check it again later, but I don't think anything is damaged. But for now, let's just put this thing away. And bring the lower motor shell back into the picture. So this here is just a plastic cap you can remove by squeezing this clippy thing here. Push it out. Okay. I'm saving this. I don't want it to get damaged. Okay, so this whole assembly here spins, right? So how do you mount a light to this assembly that spins? Let's bring the stator back. Here's the lower part. As you can see, there is a hole in the shaft. As you can see, a light passes through there. Through here, you take a small metal shaft with the diameter just a tiny bit bigger than the inner diameter of this hole right here, and you poke it in. So you need to first enlarge the hole here using a couple drill bits or a step drill bit if you have one, and then you have to crimp this part a little bit so that it can fit. You can have a good friction fit. And there you have it. So let's start the process. So after you open the motor up, you can see the little hole here. If your motor doesn't have a little hole here, you can start by first drill with a small drill bit, make a pilot hole, and then enlarge the hole with a bigger drill bit. Since this has already a hole, I'm going to use a big drill bit and enlarge it. Fits with just a tiny bit of gap to spare. Okay, let's clean this mess up first. So let's go to the next step. Making a hole for this pipe to pass through this bracket here. If you have a step drill bit, you can use it, because if you use a big drill bit right away, it might tear this thin metal out. I don't have a step drill bit, so I'm going to use a small drill bit first. So after minutes of drilling, I have arrived at this. So this pipe is just held into the bracket here with friction. There's no glue here yet. You can use JB Weld or any type of epoxy or any type of glue or a screw if you want. You can screw here and here to pinch the bracket in place, but what I did on my other fan is I first wrap this side with a bit of painter's tape. Okay, and on the other side. And then put some super glue around the joint. Now we wait for it to dry. So while we wait for the glue to dry, I'm going to grease the lower side, the lower bearing on this motor. Look at how much grease there is here. This grease is super thin. On some other fans that I've taken apart, some used fans, this grease tends to like burn some sort. It like turns to black, jet black gunk that is very hard. So after maybe several days of not having it run, the grease gets very thick, very goopy, and it just seizes up just one spin. It's very cheap grease. Anyway, right, I'm gonna have to pack this up with grease here since I won't be able to touch it again anytime soon after I send it to my friend who is the customer here. I want this jam-packed with grease. That looks a lot better now. It's packed with a ton of grease. Should last maybe 10 years or more. I don't know. So the glue is now dry. As you remember before, this pipe can't fit in this hole in the shaft here. So what you do is take a pair of pliers and crimp it. As you can see, this pipe has a line here connecting. So this used to be a sheet of metal bent into a tube. You can just take an angle grinder and grind a slit away on your pipe if your pipe doesn't have this line built in. Anyway, you crimp it. We're getting close. Let's see if it fits now. It does. Finally. So this part, I need to bend this part a bit to make better friction fit. Okay, let's see. Oops. That's great. It fits in here very snugly. It's very hard to pull off. Let's see if I can actually pull it off. Nope. Oh no. Let's see if a pair of locking pliers will help. Oh. It's locked in there. Okay. Might have to. Let's see. Sorry guys, I have to turn the camera off for this one. I'm back and managed to remove this thing without damaging much of anything. So from here, let's reassemble the fan motor. Oh, need to be very careful with these windings. They're very brittle. They are made of aluminum, if you guys don't know yet. Aluminum coated with a bit of copper, or what looks like copper. I don't know what it exactly is. Anyway. Okay, I got the top motor shell on. Oops. Let's see if this hole is big enough for the pipe, because I don't think it actually is. Oh, it is. Okay. Let's continue with reassembling. Alright, reassembly is now finished. Now, to make your life that much easier, I recommend you not install these two pieces back on the motor shaft. The reason being, you take the bracket that you made, you hammer it into the motor shaft. That looks like enough. Then you take two wires, you push them in here, push them through the top. Let's see. These three wires here, they block a lot of the space to push wires through the bottom, but it's doable. You just have to be patient. Okay, it's not going through. Here's another way to poke the wires into all the way through the top part. You take a very long screwdriver like this, take a bit of electrical tape or duct tape in this case, cut a short strip out. You take the two wires, put them on the screwdriver and tape it. You don't need a lot of tape, just a little bit is enough. And then shove the screwdriver in here. I have to pull this on just a bit to make space. And let's see. There we go. Okay. Now rip the tape off. Let's see if I can do it here. I can. Okay. And pull the screwdriver out. Here are your two wires. You remove the tape. The reason I recommended you not to install the two pieces here is because this bolt here is, you can see it goes through this side through that side and it blocks the way, so pulling the cable through will be much harder. Okay, let's continue. After you successfully pulled wires from the bottom side to the top side of the motor, you can redo the wirings. Now, I did not take a photo of the original wiring diagram. Why? Because I have another motor from the same company that sold this fan, Nico. Here, I can just look it up from here. You stay here. No? Okay. Oops, I forgot the other part. Silly me. There we go. Now bolt everything back down. Make sure to arrange the washers so the normal washers and the crushed washers go, and then the nut. And then you install the pin that goes here. So I sucked my pin in my vacuum cleaner, so I'm going to take another one from my screws bin later. For now, let's do the wiring. Screw the capacitor back down, and let's do the wiring for the light next. So on the light itself, I'm going to add a switch later on, but for now I'm going to install it just like this. First off, let's remove the connector here. Okay, it's pretty hard to remove. There we go. There's a connector here. This here is the LED driver, or the power converter. I don't know if it is an actual driver or just a step-down transformer converting AC to DC. Anyway, pop the cover off. If you want to do it another way, this is how I like to do it, but feel free to do it with your own method. Here I cut this cable off right in the middle. Pull this out, pull the sleeve out, strip these two wires here. Hang on 1 second. Alright, they're stripped out. Now put it back in the cover. Or not yet, sorry. Okay, so cut the wires here short, a bit shorter. I want it sticking very long like that. Strip these wires. And connect these two together. I currently don't have a wire that matches the color of these two, black and red. So I'm going to use blue and white here. The cable here is very thin because I'm only carrying DC current from here to here. If you want to put the driver here, so you have to use bigger wires that can carry AC at 220 or 120 volts. Here I'm carrying DC through maybe only 12 volts DC, so these small cables are enough. Then you need to tape the connection up or heat shrink it. I don't have a heat shrink, so I'm going to use tape. Okay, after it's all taped up, let's see if I can put the wires here into the driver. Here's, okay, let's see. This is the output side. Okay, let's see here. I think I can. Yes, I can. Pop the cover back on. And maybe I'm going to tie it somewhere around here. For now, let's continue with the other part. I'm going to let this dangle here for now. Take the other end of the connector, split this sleeve open. Be careful while using a box cutter. I'm going to cut this wire short, not that short because I'm going to add a switch and I want to have a spare cable to work with. A spare length of cable to work with. I'm not that good at English, but hey, at least I tried. Okay, so since I did not solder this connection together, I'm going to fasten it using a cable tie to prevent this connection from ever coming off. This thing acts like a little bit like a strain relief. Okay, that's tight. Snap it off. Okay. Let's connect the light in. And let's test if it works. Hang on 1 second, I need to wire that in. Alright, I got a test cord here, ready to go. Let's plug it in and see if it works. And it does. It's pretty bright. Not as bright as a big light bulb, as it is just a 6-watt LED, but it's enough. Okay, let's shut this test off and tuck this all in, finish the wiring up, and let's test it on my down rod. Alright, it is all installed now. Let's see if it works. I haven't tested the motor. Let's hope the aluminum windings didn't break during this conversion. Anyway, let's turn it on. Okay, we got something. The light is flickering. Ah, nice. That looks great. I'm going to add a switch on the light later on, just like I did with this one. I might add a pull chain switch on there, I'm not sure yet. But now it works. Let's crank it up to full speed. I need the air full here. So there you go. That's how you mount a light, a down light, like that on a ceiling fan motor. Thank you for watching and take care.